We're now being joined here on the morning show by Honorable Babajimi Benson, a member of the House of Representatives for Ikorodu Federal Constituency here in Lagos. Honorable Benson is Chairman, House Committee on Defense, as well as member, House Adhoc Committee on Tax. Good morning, Honorable Babajimi Benson.
Good morning,
Good to have you
Steve.
join us
Good morning, Kashi.
on the morning show.
Yeah, good morning.
I'm sure that you must be a very happy man this morning, given the fact that the House has just, passed the bill, the 4 bills for tax reform forms by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And my question to start the conversation will be, given the riotous situation when you first dealt with the bill, at the hearing level in November, of last year, to almost a near unanimity in March of 2025 to pass the bill. Yes, you'll be waiting for Senate, for concurrence. How did you manage to do that? How did you move from noise, we no go agree and everything in November to the fact that, yes, there are a few amendments that you guys have made, but then everybody's saying this is a bill whose time has come. How did you manage that, and what precisely have you done with this passage?
Thank you very much for inviting me to this show. And it's good seeing our former Commissioner of Information in Lagos State. And Kashi, nice to see you. Yes, Nigeria is a very complex country, heterogeneous. So we carefully chose the type of government we have, which is federalism. So when you have different diverse people, ethnic, religious, and what have you, you won't choose a unitary form of government, you choose a federal type of government. Yeah. So when you have a federal type of government and you have heterogeneous people, when you introduce earth-shaking policies or laws, they're bound to be different shades of opinion. So that was what happened in November, when this law was introduced, right? And laws dated in the 1938s, the tax law. So introducing a new law will definitely have different shades and opinion. So that was what happened initially. And we all started assimilating and studying and listening to various stakeholders, religious, governors, senators, House of Reps members, opinion molders, civil society, traditional rulers. So they started expressing different shades of opinion, i.e. inheritance tax, i.e. derivation, i.e. knocking of Naseni, and stuff like that. So we sat down, and knowing that this bill, agreeing fundamentally that Nigeria needs this, we need to move away from having a 1938 type bill to having a modern bill that will put us ahead in the Committee of Nations. So it was easy to agree in principle, but tightening the knots on the bolts was what was a bit difficult. But we go around it, and you could see the resounding approval that the House of Reps gave the bill.
Absolutely. Now, I want us to go into some of the provisions in this reform. I think specifically the adjusted tax band in terms of taxing people who earn higher, for just to put it in plain terms, and reducing the tax or completely even exempting tax for lower income earners, and also the exemption threshold for the personal income tax. Now, how do you think, generally, looking at how its taxes generally translates to increased revenue as well, how do you think these two issues, in terms of how this reform has managed them, will help in boosting revenue amongst other issues that the taxes aim to solve for us as a country?
Yes, there's also the fiscalization bit, which allows small, medium enterprises get into the tax net. So what they're driving at is having more inclusive, more people coming on board to pay tax. You're right, if you earn less than 800,000, you're tax exempt. And we have actually also increased the threshold, that's the House of Reps. So if you're a small, medium enterprise and you earn up to 100 million naira per year, you get tax exempt. Initially, it was 50 million. So if you start doing that, companies will come into the space. Personal income will go up because there's an nexus between having a successful company and the owners of the company getting more wealthy. So that's the philosophy behind that. So we believe that with more SMEs coming on board, more entrepreneurs will come up, they'll get richer, and more bigger companies will also come and get taxed appropriately.
But just to understand, does that create a gap somewhere? Because that burden that has now been lifted on the small and medium enterprises and the lower income earners must fall somewhere. So how is that going to be managed?
Okay. So on the flip side, you also have the derivation principle, which didn't exist in the past. Prior to this tax thing, every company that has a headquarters, the location of the headquarters gets the tax. Right now, it's been decentralized. So a company that exists in Kafanchan, for instance, will the tax, the VAT that is available will be domiciled in that local government. So this is like a even spread development. So what that would entail is that every local government in Nigeria will compete for companies and due process. They'll be able to provide security so that commerce will thrive there, and they'll eventually be able to retain the VATs that exist in those areas. What I always say to Nigerians is when the issue was really, really rife, we used to believe that the North was the least collecting VAT states, but there weren't. The least collecting VAT states back there was Imo and Cross River. We didn't know this. So this opportunity gives every state in Nigeria the impetus to put on their thinking cap and attract businesses to their local government. You know, I chair the Defense Committee, and I remember the late Lagbaja used to say the general that passed away, that we go and win the war in territories in the North, but we don't have any local government to hand over those territories to. So by the time we turn our backs, the youths don't have any other thing to do. They don't see government. They can't have access to healthcare. So this innovation in the tax law will encourage those local governments to have additional funds that may even be more than their FAC allocation to build and sustain development within those territories.
I would like you to talk more to us about the VAT aspect of it and the sharing formula, because it was one of the most contentious, aspects when the Northern Governors Forum, a few individuals were up in arms against the proposed reforms. But what you have done now is to retain the 7.5 and reject the graduation of it to about 15% in about 2030. What informed that? Did that come from the public hearing? And what other... So how does it work in terms of sharing formula now? Because a lot of people are thinking that, does it mean that the big earning states like Lagos and Rivers will get more, or maybe they're actually conceding more within the new arrangement? Yeah,
they're actually conceding more because the proposal initially was for the states to have 60% derivation.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So that's what they kicked against, because they say fingers are not equal. Lagos State is a big industrial, commercial, so they will still be getting the lion's share. Yeah. So what we've done now, with the influence of the governors, we flipped it and said, okay, equality of states, population, and derivation. So derivation is now 20%. So which is still huge. So if you generate business within your local government, you get to keep 20% of the VAT you realize there. Yeah. So that's that. And I think it's a step in the right direction. It gives a win-win position for everyone.
You're from Lagos. What's the benefit in all of this to Lagos State, which is still celebrating the fact that it's now, it has moved on in its GDP and everything. Will more money come in? And I'm not singling out Lagos State alone. It's just because, you and I are, Lagos boys and everything. What's the deal for Lagos?
So if you do a tax to GDP ratio analysis, Lagos is high. So this would also ensure or encourage more companies to come into the tax bracket.
Yeah.
Lagosians may also be wealthier, right? Because if you look at the bill is fantastic. It also gives pioneer status, tax exemptions to various types of new business.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're setting up an agri-based business, for instance, it allows you to set up and it gives you tax break for maybe 5 years.
So startups will enjoy.
Exactly. Yeah. Startups will enjoy. Then various opportunities in the bill. For instance, the one that makes my head sing every day is the one on. So nowadays, if Google, for instance, were to employ staff in Ghana, right?
Oh, you talked about the aspect that if you transact with us in dollars, your taxes will have to be in dollars.
Not even that.
Okay.
So if Google employs Ghanaians, for instance, the Ghanaian tax authority will only tax that Ghanaian that is employed.
Yes.
Prior to this law, if Google employs Nigerians, the Nigerian tax authority will tax the Nigerian and tax Google.
Oh.
So it was a big disincentive for those foreigners to invest in Nigeria. And they say there's a $14 billion business within that ecosystem.
Yeah.
So now our very vibrant Nigerian youths have the opportunity to tap in this outsourcing, global outsourcing. We speak the best English, we're confident, we know how to research, we're very dynamic. So it's just a win-win for our youth. However, I've always put it on the people that our IT infrastructure also needs to be updated because it's slow.
Okay.
So for you to be extremely competitive, you need NITDA, you need the Minister of Communication to up the scale on our IT infrastructure so that our teaming youths can really come into the system. So this is another big advantage that this tax bill is bringing to fore. It's going to encourage smart Nigerian youths coming to ecosystem and earn dollars, not naira.
Okay, we really have to go now because the time is short. But just very quickly, FRS also changes its name to Nigerian Revenue Service.
Yeah, as it's done all over the world. Okay. The Ghanaian Revenue Service, the Queen. How do they call the one in the UK and the one in Kenya? So that's what they're called.
Fantastic. So it looks to me like this is one major aspect of the deliverables that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu promised.
Yes, I call it the injection. When we were young, they give us this Nivaquine injection that they have to massage but at the end of the day, it gets the job done and it cures you of malaria. So this injection will cure Nigeria and take us really, really high on the Committee of Nations.
All right, Kachofia, look forward to your own injection, isn't it? Thank you.